Hey there, it's Amelia. In this video, we'll take a look at all the different types of charts that you can create in Microsoft Excel. Let's get started. So in Excel, it doesn't refer to, like say, a bar graph as a graph. It refers to everything as a chart. Instead of just displaying data in your worksheet like this, you can create various types of charts to represent information. This includes the pie charts, bar charts, or as I would call them, bar graphs, and line graphs or line charts. So you could embed your chart on your existing worksheet, or you can create the chart on a separate worksheet. So let's just take a quick look at all the different types of charts available in Excel. So on the ribbon from the Insert tab, there's a Charts group, and what it does is it shows you the different types of charts in like groups. So up in here, if I mouse over this first image here, you see that this group is column and bar charts. So in order to see all of them, I have to click on the drop down arrow, and when I do, I can mouse over the different types of charts. Now, Excel right now is making an educated guess as to what data I want to chart. So it has selected a range for me, as you could see over here. But if I hover back over on the different types of graphs, below you're going to see what the graph would look like. So these are different types of column and bar charts. And I'm just going to click again on the drop down to collapse that and go on to the next one. So the next group of charts are line and area charts. So if I click on the drop down there, you're going to see that this includes what looks like a typical line graph, but some variations, and you have a three-dimensional style, two-dimensional area, and three-dimensional area. Now there's even more. If I click here, it goes into a larger list of all charts, but what I like about this is it groups it together, like by category of charts. So the next one we'll look at are pie and donut charts. So I'll go ahead and click on the drop down, and we'll see the typical pie chart, some variations, three-dimensional pie chart, and a donut chart. And the next group is called a hierarchy chart, and that includes something called a tree map, and then there's one called sunburst. Next, we have statistical charts, which include something called a histogram and a box and whisker. Now, personally, I haven't really heard of those types of charts. But if you're heavily into statistics and complex data, then those might suit your needs. The next type of charts are scatter or bubble charts. And those include charts that have little dots instead of lines or bars or columns, and images that look like little bubbles. And next we have a waterfall or stock chart, and I kind of like this waterfall one. That's kind of cool. And then you have different types of stock charts. Now, this isn't looking very nice, this chart below, because this is specifically for stock information. So if you're just looking to create a standard type of graph, then you probably don't need the stock type charts. But if you have stock information, then you definitely want to explore these different types of stock charts. Next, we have combo charts, which includes a combination, a column and line graph or chart, clustered column line chart, and a stacked area and clustered column chart. Next, we have a surface or radar chart. And finally, we have something called a pivot chart. Now, if you're familiar with pivot tables, the pivot table is a way to display information based on a more complex table. So you can create a pivot table, and then you can create a pivot chart for that information. Okay, so how do you decide what chart is right for you and your data? So the chart you select depends on how you would like to see your data visually represented, how many data series you have, and the type of information. So since there are so many different types of charts, it may be difficult to pick just one. So what you can do for starters, you can have Excel automatically create a chart for you. Now, you did see some of the samples as I hovered over the different types, but let's go ahead and try this in Excel trick, because it's a wonderful way to have Excel create a chart for you instantly. So the data that I want to chart is this particular range right here. Now, I'm not going to include my totals. If you include your totals, you're going to see that your chart will be look strange or be off, because it's going to include those totals in the data ranges. So you don't want to include your totals, just your values based on the different descriptors here. Okay, so now that I've selected the data that I want to chart, all I have to do is press Alt F1, and magically it creates a chart for me. Now, it will create a column chart which looks something like this, and based on your needs, you can if that works for you, maybe you just have to double click and change the chart title and move it to where you want. But you also have a lot of different options up here, and you can certainly scroll through, actually hover over these, and look and see all the different styles. So this is pretty nice. I like this one. So I think I'll keep that one. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on that. And maybe I'd want to just kind of move that over here. So now we've created our first chart. And we won't worry too much about the formatting. I'll actually have a separate video on chart customizing and formatting. But what if you don't like the chart that Excel created? No problem, because there's plenty more to choose from. Let's take a look at some other charts, and next we'll create a pie chart. So let's talk a little bit about how you select the data to chart. Now, sometimes the data to be included in your chart is conveniently located right next to each other in adjacent cells. Like, so for instance, to create this column chart, all the information is conveniently located in this particular range. But say you had data that you wanted to chart and it's in different columns. So I have an example. I'm going to switch over to another worksheet. So I switched over to another worksheet, and in this case I want to include in my pie chart, I want to have the descriptors in column B and the values for just the quantity in column D. So I'm going to press and drag from B7 down to B12. And then I want to hold my control key down, click on D7 and drag down to D12. And then when I release my mouse, you'll notice that I'll have my two separate ranges selected, ready to chart. Okay, so next I want to go ahead and create my pie chart. So from the Insert tab in the ribbon, in the Charts group, I want to go ahead and click on the drop down for my pie and donut selections. I'm going to select 3D pie, and when I click on it, my chart is created. Now again, I do have options that automatically come up at the top here. So if I hover over, you'll see the different choices, and I do like that one that puts the descriptors on the different pieces of pie. And let's take a look and see what some of the other ones look like. Great. Well, that's a nice one. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this one. And let's say in this case, you want to either move it next to your data, or let's talk a little bit about navigating your charts. So whenever you want to move your chart, you want to make sure that the chart is selected by clicking on it. And as soon as you see your little handles and you have your four-headed cross here, when you move your mouse, then you'll be able to move your chart anywhere. Now, let's say you want that chart on a separate sheet. So first we want to go ahead and click on this plus sign to create a new sheet. And then back on sheet 1, I just want to right click on my selected chart. I want to select cut. And I want to then navigate to my sheet 2 and then right click and select paste. Now I have some paste options here, and if you hover over, you'll see if there's different variations, but destination theme is fine. I'm going to go ahead and click there, and then I have my chart. And you could also enlarge the chart. If you can just take hold of the corner there, wait till you get your double-headed arrows, and always use the corners, not the ones in the middle, because then your chart will be misshapen. It'll be like kind of stretched out. So let me undo that. and you want to select the corner, press and drag out, and then you'll be able to enlarge your chart. So finally, let's just review how to delete your chart. It's very easy. All you want to do is make sure that your chart is selected, have your little handles, and then just hit the delete key on your keyboard. Now, you can also right click and select cut, and that will also remove your chart. Well, that's it for today's video. If you found this video helpful, please leave a comment below. If you like this video, please click like. If you like my channel, please click subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.